My name is Gabriella+Leano, and today I'm going to talk about someone who I think absolutely exemplifies a great transformational leader and also a great communicator. He's not somebody that you could Google and find a massive resume on like a lot of other great leaders, but he's someone that nonetheless has reached many, many people at one of the most important groups in our country, and that's students. So today I'd like to talk about middle school administrator and Army Lieutenant Colonel Jerry Levesque. I'll start with a background on Colonel Levesque and then go into an example that I think most portrays his transformational leadership, talk about what we can learn from that, and then go into a little bit about his communication style and what he thinks is the most important part of communication. And then have a short video and then questions and answers at the end. Colonel Levesque has almost 30 years of experience in the U.S. Army, including multiple deployments to places like Korea and Iraq. He has a master's in education as well as a master's in leadership studies, and has been the squadron commander for a Civil Air Patrol unit called Sheldon Cadet Squadron since 2002. So almost 8 years of experience as the role of commander of almost 150 cadets. And the example that I have of his transformational leadership, he had a vision back in 2001. He wanted to bring a program to middle schools that would develop youth into the future leaders of this country, give them tools like discipline and sense of responsibility, and give them, I guess, tools to help them succeed in life in programs that aren't necessarily available in schools right now. And the most important part of this actual example is he took it to a school called C.E. King Middle School here in Houston. And you look at statistics on this school, over 75% of the students are called economically disadvantaged. They're on free and reduced lunch programs. And when you talk to them, their parents are in jail. They're living with distant relatives because that's all that they have. They have no money. Most of them have no hopes, no dreams, because they don't have anybody who's kind of inspired them. They don't have any example of hopes and dreams amongst any of their family, no support. And so Colonel Levesque wanted to go in there and give them something to live for, something that they otherwise might not have had. Now, there were some issues with this because there was no precedence for it, no program of the kind existed, and he wanted to base it off of the Air Force Civil Air Patrol program, which is founded on things like leadership and discipline and sense of responsibility. But without having a precedence, he had to build it basically from the bottom up. He also faced financial difficulties because the school is very underfunded. The funds go to things not to support this kind of program, so he had to do a lot of fundraising. And basically a lot of expenses came out of his own pocket to help build this program up. There was also an issue because the students, when he came in there, had no motivation. They didn't know what it was like to succeed, so he had to go in and inspire them, motivate them, show them that they could succeed, and then give them the tools to actually get there. So from when he first went in to now, when you walk in the classroom, there are students who have goals, who have dreams. They can tell you where they want to go to college, what they've done. The walls are lined with plaques that they've gone and gotten from national competitions, competing against some of the top private schools in the country. And it's amazing. I have a video a little bit later of students that I've talked to that have been part of this program that I'll show you. And I think what comes out of their mouth about this leader is, it's not replaceable with something that I could say. So I'll show you that in a few minutes. But some of the main lessons that I took from Colonel Levesque and that he passes on to his students are that transformational leadership is a result of action-oriented leadership by the leaders. A leader, especially when they're leading youth in a program like this, have to lead by example. Youth are going to follow what you do, so you can't practice one thing and preach something else. And he is the absolute epitome of action-oriented leadership and leading by example. You see him down there doing push-ups and marching around with the cadets just as if he was one of them. And this has inspired them to think that they can end up being like someone like him. One of the other ones is, he said that you have to give them a freedom to grow, make mistakes, but also teach them that you have to accept responsibility for those mistakes. You can't just make mistakes and say, well, you have to learn from it and take responsibility and ownership of your mistakes. And he does this great too. With the mistakes he's made, he's owned up to them. He explains them to the cadets and why it was a mistake and how he could have avoided it or avoid it in the future. And the last part is open and effective communication. And I talked with him about this. He said, the hardest part of this is getting the same message across to everybody. And at a school like Sheldon, they come from all different backgrounds, all different kinds of family situations. He's also opened up this program to several middle schools, so coordinating across the middle schools, and then also with all these different students of all kinds of different backgrounds, it takes different things to reach the different students. And learning as a leader to do this is one of the most important parts of communication. And then the last part is that accurate, timely, and honest communication are absolutely essential. If it's not accurate, there's no point in it. If it's not timely, it doesn't reach them when it matters, communication falls through. And the last part is it has to be honest. You'll see in the video, Colonel Levesque bases the program off of the Air Force core values: integrity first, service before self, and excellence in all we do. And integrity first definitely rules that squadron. None of those kids, they all say the one thing that they're most fearful of is lying and getting caught in it, so they just don't do it. And I thought that was great. When it comes to communicating, that honesty comes first in all of it. So now I want to show you this video. I put it together just some interview clips from some of the students, and I just think that it speaks for itself. It's pretty awesome.
Because he motivates us to do better. He actually cares about us.
He took us from not having a drill team to having one of the best in the nation.
And he wouldn't make us do anything that he wouldn't do himself.
Colonel Levesque is a man with a big heart that we can tell he cares that we do the best and that he wants us to do the best we can.
Colonel teaches us the Air Force core values: integrity first, service before self, excellence in all we do. If you want to teach him, he listens.
Colonel Levesque, he's always been one person who can try to how a person to dig deep down inside themselves and try to find what's best and bring them to the forefront of what they're trying to be. Colonel Levesque's been here at the squadron since 2002, and since that time, this squadron has grown from a small number of cadets who really kind of had very simplistic goals to the largest squadron in America. And he's been able to work with a lot of different groups of people, culturally, age, socially. It's very important for a communicator to know his audience and be able to adjust his speech and his information, the way he gives that information at an appropriate level. So he's a very good communicator, very effective.
I just thought that spoke for itself. I don't think there's anything that can communicate how much he's affected those people more than 6th graders who don't have anything in their world besides something like this, who can actually identify that he cares about them and what he's done to help them. So in conclusion, we just talked about Colonel Levesque and how he's been a great transformational leader, some of the lessons that we can learn from his leadership, and that it's important to lead by example, to accept responsibility and teach your followers to accept responsibility, and then to have open and effective communication, and that this relies on accurate and timely communication and being able to connect with and reach everybody in your audience, regardless of background, age, any of those kind of barriers. So, are there any questions?
How did you get to know Colonel Levesque? Yes.
The question was how I got to know Colonel Levesque. I actually worked as a teacher under him, a paraprofessional, for 2 years in the program. So I've taught some of these kids, worked with them one-on-one.
Has he opened other schools, or is this just his main one? What other things has he done besides this one?
So our question was if he'd opened other schools or if this was the only one. And this was his main one. This is his baby project, I guess. But he has expanded his other schools in Houston, and he's writing a national curriculum so they can implement it across other schools. All right, so I just thought this was a really great example of transformational leadership and leadership communication, especially because it's reaching one of our nation's most important audiences, which are young kids, especially young kids who otherwise wouldn't have had any hopes or any ability to think that they could actually succeed in a way that he's given them hope in. So, thank you.